It was a sunny day in late 1835 when my uncle Joseph Barnard had heard that the Texian revolt from Mexico had begun. He was in Chicago, Illinois when he received this message. I knew that my uncle wanted to help fight for Texas independence. The truth is that I wanted to fight for the Spanish independence. They already had too much land taken away from them. They didn't deserve any of this. Although my uncle was from Mississippi, I didn't want him to fight for that land. Since the 1800s, Americans were eager to buy that part of land called Texas, but it was part of the Spanish. They had taught us that Spain did not want Americans to move there. But in 1821, Spain gave my father's enemy Moses Austin land in Texas. But he died, so his son took over him. The new nation had let Austin lead settlers in Texas. Only 4,000 Americans lived in Texas. My mom had told me that Mexico's hope was that Americans would develop that land and stop Indian attacks. So now that settlers had agreed to become citizens of Mexico, obey their laws, and believe in the Catholic Church. That's the story of how me and my family who settled in Texas. Along with us, about 20,000 Americans. However, I don't speak in Spanish language. That's why this conflict erupted between the newcomers and the Mexican government. My uncle, who worked in the government, had sent us a letter saying that Mexico had passed a law not allowing any more Mexicans to move to Texas, but now another law bans slavery. Now that I read all these letters, it made me think, what did all the Mexicans feel? Americans? I was traveling to San Antonio on October 1835 when I heard my uncle cheering because they had defeated the Mexican troops. By the way, my name is Rosa de la Fuente, and I was adopted by my so-called uncle. I was taken away from my mom's arms in a past war. 2 months passed when Texas had taken over. San Antonio, I got so mad when I heard them cheer for victory. There has been so many moments when my uncle's settlers and I got in an argument because it wasn't fair what they were doing to my real family. What got me really mad was that I couldn't do anything for them. By the time that poor Santa Anna arrived, many of the Texans had left. A small amount of them were here to defend my uncle's army. I have remembered the Alamo since my mom had told me the story. Mission the Alamo. The Alamo is a church built after 1744 as part of a Spanish mission in San Antonio, Texas, and converted to a fort in the early 1800s. During the Texas Revolution against Mexican rule, it was besieged by the Mexican army. It was surrounded by walls 3 feet thick and 12 feet high. However, my uncle was really sick and ill because in the winter of 1835 through 1836, the defenders of Texas had very little supplies like medicine. The food my uncle ate was meat and corn, and there was only a limited access of water. My uncle only had a blanket and a flannel shirt. Along with my uncle were about 187 Texans. That was only like 5% of the Mexican troops. And that place my mom was in, she then died when she was helping the ill to young male. Slaves were there to save people from dying. My mom only wanted me to have a good life, so she did whatever she could so I could eat.